I thought I was the luckiest daughter in the world when I handed my mother the keys to her dream house. 3 months later, I discovered she'd sold it behind my back and kept every penny. My name is Laura, and until recently, I believed in fairy tales about grateful mothers and sacrificial love. I should have known better. Laura, honey, you didn't have to do this, Mom said, clutching the keys to the beautiful colonial I'd just bought her. Her eyes were wet with tears, and for a moment I felt like I was floating. After years of watching her struggle as a single mother, working double shifts to keep us afloat, this felt like my chance to finally pay her back. You deserve this, Mom. You deserve everything. I wrapped my arms around her small frame. You gave up so much for me. The house was perfect. 4 bedrooms, a wraparound porch, and a garden she'd always dreamed of having. $450,000 of my signing bonus from the international consulting firm that had just hired me. Worth every cent to see her face light up like that. I can't believe my little girl is going to be working in London, she whispered. I'm so proud of you. 2 weeks later, I was on a plane to start my new life abroad. The last thing I saw before takeoff was a text from Mom. Already planning the housewarming party. Love you to the moon. For 3 months, I threw myself into work. 60-hour weeks, client dinners, presentations that could make or break million-dollar deals. Every exhausting day felt worth it, because I knew Mom was finally living the life she deserved. She'd send me photos of her garden, videos of her cooking in the spacious kitchen, selfies from her morning coffee on the porch. Living my best life thanks to my amazing daughter, she'd caption them. When my project wrapped up early and I got a surprise 2-week break, I decided to fly home and see her settled in. I wanted to surprise her, maybe help her finish decorating the guest room she'd been working on. I took an Uber straight from the airport to her house, practically bouncing in my seat. I'd brought her favorite tea from Harrods and a cashmere throw I'd found at a boutique in Notting Hill. The first thing I noticed was the different car in the driveway, then the different curtains in the windows, then the different woman who answered the door when I knocked. "Can I help you?" she asked, looking at me like I was selling something. "I'm sorry, I think I have the wrong address." I checked the house number twice. "I'm looking for Nadine Marshall." "Oh, you mean the previous owner? She moved out about 6 weeks ago. We bought the place from her. Lovely woman, said she was downsizing." The world tilted sideways. Downsizing? Yeah, said the house was too big for just her. Got herself a nice condo by the lake, from what I heard. I stood there on the porch I'd imagined my mother drinking her morning coffee on, staring at this stranger who was living in the house I'd bought with my own money, the house that was supposed to be my mother's forever. Home. "Are you okay, honey?" the woman asked. "You look a little pale." "I'm fine," I managed. "Just confused about the address." I called Mom from the Uber, my hands shaking as I dialed. "Laura, what a wonderful surprise! Are you back in town?" "Mom, I just went to your house." A pause. "Oh, well, I was going to tell you. You sold it?" "Now, don't get upset. I can explain everything. Come see my new place. It's absolutely gorgeous, right on the water. I'm having a little gathering tonight, actually. Perfect timing." "You sold the house I bought you." "Laura, honey, you gave it to me. It was mine to do with as I pleased, wasn't it? And I decided I wanted something different, something more me." The casual way she said it, like she was explaining why she'd changed her hairstyle, made my stomach drop. "Where are you living now?" "Lakefront Towers, Unit 2847, the penthouse level. Come up, I'll show you around. You're going to love it." I hung up and gave the driver the new address, my mind reeling. She'd sold the house I'd worked 80-hour weeks to afford, the house that was supposed to represent everything I owed her for raising me alone. When I got to her building, I could hear music and laughter echoing from the 28th floor before I even got off the elevator. Through her open door, I could see at least 30 people mingling in a space that looked like it belonged in a magazine. "There she is," Mom announced as I walked in. "Everyone, this is my daughter Laura, the one I told you about. She's the reason I can afford this beautiful place." The crowd applauded, and I forced a smile, but something cold was settling in my chest. As I looked around at the marble countertops, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the designer furniture, one thought kept echoing in my head. This place had to cost twice what I'd spent on her house. That night, scrolling through social media in my hotel room, I saw it. A post from Janet, Mom's old neighbor, tagged with a location I didn't recognize. The caption read, "Celebrating with Nadine at her housewarming party. So happy for her new beginning." But the location tag wasn't for Mom's new condo. It was for the house I'd bought her, posted 3 months ago, the same week I'd left for London. I stared at that social media post until my eyes burned. 3 months ago. She'd thrown a housewarming party at the house I bought her, then sold it and moved somewhere even more expensive. The next morning, I drove back to the Colonial. I needed to see it again, to make sense of what had happened. The new owners were loading groceries from their car, and I worked up the courage to approach them. "Excuse me," I called out. "I'm sorry to bother you again. I'm Laura. I was here yesterday asking about Nadine." The woman smiled. "Oh, yes. I'm Beth. This is my husband, Mark. Are you a friend of hers?" "Her daughter." Mark's eyebrows shot up. "Really? She never mentioned having a daughter when we were going through the sale." "She didn't mention me?" "Not once," Beth said, glancing at her husband. "She seemed like she was in a hurry to sell, though. We made an offer, and she accepted it the same day. Cash only, no contingencies." "Cash only?" "Yeah, she said she needed the money quickly for her new place. Something about a limited-time opportunity." Mark hefted a grocery bag. "We were happy to accommodate. Beautiful house, fair price. Do you mind me asking what you paid?" $420, Beth said. "She said she'd bought it for $450 just a few months earlier, but she was willing to take a small loss for a quick sale." I thanked them and sat in my car for 10 minutes, doing math. She'd sold my gift to her for $30,000 less than I'd paid, just to get cash fast. Then she'd used that cash, plus whatever else she had, to buy a place that probably cost $700,000 or more. I drove straight to her condo. "Laura, you look tired, sweetheart. Did you sleep okay at the hotel?" Mom opened the door, wearing a silk robe that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "We need to talk." "Of course. Come in. I'll make coffee. I got this amazing espresso machine." "You sold the house for less than I paid for it." She paused, coffee pod in hand. "Well, yes. The market fluctuates, you know. These things happen. You took a $30,000 loss on a house you owned for 3 months. Laura, I don't like your tone. And this place had to cost at least $700,000. Where did the extra money come from?" Mom's jaw tightened. "I had savings." "What savings? You were living paycheck to paycheck when I left for London. You couldn't even afford to fix your car's air conditioning." "I've been very careful with money over the years." "Careful enough to afford a penthouse condo?" She slammed the coffee pod down. "Why are you interrogating me? I thought you'd be happy that I'm finally living well, after everything I sacrificed for you." I am happy you're living well. I'm confused about how you're affording it. The house was a lovely gift, Laura, but it wasn't practical for me. Too much space, too much maintenance. This place suits me better. So, you decided that without talking to me? It was my house. You gave it to me, remember? Or are you trying to take it back now? The way she said it, like I was being unreasonable, made my chest tight. I'm not trying to take anything back. I just want to understand. There's nothing to understand. I made a smart financial decision. I looked around the condo again. Everything was new, expensive, perfect. Mom, this place is incredible, but the numbers don't add up. Even if you had some savings, even with the house sale. Laura. Her voice went cold. I raised you by myself for 18 years. I worked 2 jobs. I went without so you could have what you needed. I think I've earned the right to make my own choices about where I live. Of course you have. I sacrificed everything for you. My social life, my career prospects, my chance at love, everything. And now that you're successful, and I finally have an opportunity to enjoy my life, you want to question every decision I make? That's not what I'm doing. Isn't it? She crossed her arms. You're acting like I stole something from you. The word stole hung in the air between us. I hadn't used it, but she had. I would never accuse you of stealing anything. Good, because I haven't. She softened her voice. Honey, I know this is confusing, but sometimes adults have to make complicated financial decisions. I had some opportunities come up, some investments that paid off. The timing worked out perfectly. What kind of investments? Nothing you need to worry about. Just trust that your mother knows what she's doing. I left an hour later with more questions than answers. That afternoon, I drove to the county clerk's office and requested copies of all property records for both the house and the condo. If Mom had legitimate investments that paid off, the paper trail would show it. What I found instead was a joint bank account I'd never heard of, an account that had been active for years with regular deposits that didn't match Mom's work schedule, an account that showed a massive withdrawal just 2 days before she'd bought the condo, an account that was opened in 1995, the year after my father died. An account with my name on it. I sat in my rental car outside the county clerk's office, staring at the bank records. My name was right there in black and white, listed as a joint account holder on an account I'd never seen before, an account that had received monthly deposits for over 25 years. The next morning, I called the bank. I need information about an account, I told the customer service representative. I'm listed as a joint holder, but I've never accessed it. I'll need to verify your identity first. After 10 minutes of security questions, she came back on the line. Yes, Ms. Laura, you're listed as a joint account holder with Nadine Marshall. The account was opened in March 1995. What kind of deposits has this account been receiving? I see regular monthly deposits from Hartwell Insurance Company and quarterly deposits from something called the Marshall Family Trust. My hands started shaking. How much is currently in the account? The balance is, let me see, $47.32. What happened to the rest? There was a large withdrawal on October 15th, $538,000. October 15th, 3 days before Mom bought her condo. I hung up and called Hartwell Insurance. I'm calling about payments made to the Marshall account, I told them. My father died in 1995, and I think there might have been life insurance involved. Let me pull that file. Yes, David Marshall. Workplace accident. Very tragic. The policy included survivor benefits for his minor child. That would be you. Paid monthly until age 25, then a lump sum. I never received any payments. The payments were made to a joint account with the child's guardian, as specified in the policy. Standard procedure. How much was paid out over the years? Monthly payments of $800 for 18 years, then a lump sum of $200,000 when you turned 25. Total benefit was approximately $344,000. I was 25 5 years ago. Mom had been collecting money meant for me for 30 years, and I'd never known it existed. And the Marshall Family Trust? You'd need to speak with the trust administrator about that. I believe it was set up by your paternal grandparents. I called the trust administrator next. The Marshall Family Trust was established in 1987, the woman explained. It was designed to provide for David Marshall's children's education and living expenses. After David's death, the trust continued making payments to support his daughter's upbringing. How much has been paid out? Approximately $215,000 over the years. The final distribution was made when the beneficiary turned 30. I turned 30 last year. Yes, that's when the final payment was made. $50,000. I'd never seen a penny of it. That afternoon I drove to Mom's condo. She was on her balcony, sipping wine and talking on the phone. I need to ask you about something, I said when she let me in. Of course, honey. You look upset. I found the joint bank account. Her wine glass paused halfway to her lips. What account? The one with Hartwell Insurance. The one with the Marshall Family Trust. The one with my name on it. She set down her glass carefully. Oh, that old thing. That old thing had over $500,000 in it, until you withdrew it all last month. Laura, sit down. Let me explain. I'm listening. When your father died, there were survivor benefits, insurance money, trust fund payments, but you were just a child. I had to manage that money for you. Manage it by spending it? I used it to raise you. Do you think it was free to feed you, clothe you, house you for 18 years? Do you think I could have afforded your school supplies, your sports equipment, your college application fees on my salary alone? The payments continued until I was 30, Mom. I've been supporting myself since I was 22. There were expenses, back payments on things I'd covered when you were younger, the money I borrowed from my own savings to make sure you had everything you needed. You borrowed from yourself? I advanced money for your needs when the trust payments were delayed. I had to pay myself back. With interest? Her face flushed. I don't appreciate your sarcasm. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm trying to understand how money meant for my education and living expenses ended up buying you a penthouse. That money raised you, Laura. It gave you the foundation you needed to become successful. Without it, you never would have gotten where you are today. So, you think you deserved it? I think I earned it. Every sleepless night, every double shift, every sacrifice I made, that money went toward making you who you are. And the $50,000 from last year. She hesitated. That was an oversight. I meant to tell you about it. An oversight that lasted 11 months? I was waiting for the right time. I stood up. I need some air. Laura, don't leave angry. We can work this out. Work what out? You've already spent it all. I invested it in this place. It's an investment for both of us. When I'm gone, this will all be yours anyway. I stopped at the door. You really think that makes it okay? I think you need to remember who sacrificed everything to get you where you are today. I walked out without another word. In the elevator, I called my best friend, Annalise. "I need a lawyer," I said when she picked up. "What happened?" "My mother stole my inheritance and used it to buy herself a condo." "How much are we talking about?" "Over $500,000. Annalise was quiet for a moment. "Laura, I need to ask you something, and I want you to think carefully before you answer." "What?" "How badly do you want it back?" "How badly do I want it back?" I repeated Annalise's question. "I want justice." "That's not what I asked. Justice and getting your money back are two different things. One's emotional, one's practical. Which one matters more to you?" I was sitting in a coffee shop near Mom's building, watching people walk by with their normal problems. "Both." "Then, we need to be smart about this. Meet me at my office tomorrow. Bring every document you found." The next morning, Annalise spread the bank records across her conference table. She'd been my best friend since college, but right now she was all business. Sharp suit, reading glasses, legal pad covered in notes. "Your mother technically had legal access to that account," she said. "You were a minor when it was established. She was your guardian, and your name being on it as a joint holder means she could withdraw funds." "Even after I turned 18? "Even after you turned 18. Joint accounts don't have age restrictions." "So, I have no legal recourse?" "I didn't say that." Annalise pulled up something on her laptop. "Tell me about her condo. When did she buy it? How much did she pay? How did she finance it?" "She bought it in October. I'm guessing around $700,000, maybe more. She paid cash." "Cash from your account?" "Cash from our account, apparently." Annalise typed rapidly. "Here's what's interesting. Lakefront Towers. I know that building. My firm handled some of the original sales contracts. Those units are expensive, but they're also complicated." "What do you mean?" "The building has some financial issues. The developer overextended, and there are liens against several units. Some owners are underwater on their mortgages." "Mom paid cash." "Which means she owns it outright. But here's the thing about cash purchases. They can be reversed under certain circumstances." "Such as?" "Fraud. Misappropriation of funds. If we can prove the money used to purchase the condo was obtained illegally." "You think we can get the condo?" "I think we can explore options." Annalise closed her laptop. "But Laura, I need you to understand something. If we go down this road, there's no going back. Your relationship with your mother will be over." "It might already be over." "Think about that carefully, because what I'm about to suggest isn't just legal action. It's war." That afternoon, I met with Caleb, the real estate attorney Annalise recommended. His office was in a glass tower downtown, all marble and mahogany. "Annalise filled me in on your situation," he said. "Interesting case. Your mother used misappropriated funds to purchase real estate. There are several ways we could approach this." "I'm listening." "Option 1. We file a civil suit claiming the funds were stolen, and we try to recover damages. Long, expensive, uncertain outcome." "Option 2. We get creative?" He pulled out a thick folder. "Lakefront Towers is in financial distress. Several units are going into foreclosure. The building's management company is looking for investors to buy out distressed properties." "I don't understand." "What if you became an investor? What if you purchased your mother's unit through a shell company before it goes into foreclosure? Can you do that? If the building's finances deteriorate enough, and if your mother defaults on her maintenance fees or property taxes, her unit could be subject to forced sale. With the right legal structure, you could be positioned to purchase it." "How long would that take?" Months. Maybe a year. But there might be a faster way. He leaned forward. What if we created a situation where your mother wanted to sell? I met with Connor, the property manager at Lakefront Towers, the next week. Caleb had arranged the introduction. Your mother's unit is beautiful, Connor said as we sat in the building's lobby. But she's been challenging. How so? Complaints about noise, demands for special services, threats to sue over minor maintenance issues. The board is getting tired of dealing with her. What kind of special services? She wants the building to provide concierge services that aren't included in the standard fees. She's demanded that we restrict other residents' use of common areas when she's entertaining. Last week she tried to have a neighbor evicted because their dog barked. That sounds like Mom. The board is considering raising her maintenance fees significantly. There's also talk of a special assessment for building repairs that could run into the tens of thousands. When would that happen? The board meets next month. If they approve the assessment, residents would have 60 days to pay or face foreclosure proceedings. I left that meeting with Connor's business card and a plan forming in my head. That evening, I was researching shell company formation when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Is this Laura Marshall? Who is this? George Marshall, your uncle. I heard what your mother did with your father's money. We need to talk about what else she stole. From both of us. I stared at the message. Uncle George. Dad's brother. I hadn't seen him since I was maybe 10 years old. There had been some kind of family fight, and he'd disappeared from our lives completely. What do you mean? What else she stole? Not over text. Can you meet me tomorrow? Mel's Diner on 5th Street, 2 o'clock. How do I know you're really my uncle? Your father used to call you his little firecracker because you threw a tantrum in a grocery store when you were 4 and knocked over an entire display of soup cans. Your mother was mortified, but David thought it was hilarious. Nobody else knew that story. I'll be there. The next morning I called Caleb. I want to move forward with the shell company, I said. Are you sure? This is a big step. I'm sure. How quickly can we set it up? Give me 2 weeks. But Laura, once we do this, you'll own the legal right to purchase your mother's home out from under her. Are you prepared for that? I looked out my hotel window toward the lake, toward the building where Mom was probably having her morning coffee on the balcony I'd paid for. She said the house was hers because I gave it to her. Let's see how she feels when someone gives her condo to me. Mel's Diner looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1970s. Red vinyl booths, checkered floors, and the smell of coffee that had been brewing too long. I spotted Uncle George immediately. He had Dad's eyes and the same stubborn jawline I saw in old family photos. Laura. He stood up when I approached his booth. You look just like your father. Uncle George. I slid into the seat across from him. It's been a long time. 20 years, give or take. He signaled the waitress for coffee. I'm sorry it took this long for us to talk. Mom said you and Dad had a falling out. We did, but not the kind she told you about. He pulled a manila envelope from beside him on the seat. Your mother has been lying to you about a lot of things. The waitress poured my coffee and left. George opened the envelope and spread papers across the table between us. What am I looking at? Your father's will. The real one, not the version your mother showed the probate court. I picked up the document. It was dated 6 months before Dad died, and it was nothing like what Mom had told me. According to this will, Dad had left specific instructions about my trust fund, including provisions that Mom couldn't touch the money except for direct educational expenses. She violated the terms of the trust? She violated everything. Look at this. He handed me a bank statement from 1998. These are withdrawals she made when you were 8 years old. $15,000 for a family vacation to Disney World. We never went to Disney World. I know, because she spent the money on something else. What? A down payment on a car. A brand new car that she told everyone she'd saved up for. He flipped through more papers. Here's another one. $5,000 for Laura's school supplies and uniforms. I went to public school. Exactly. She was systematically draining your trust fund and using it for her own expenses, then lying about what the money was for. I felt sick. How do you know all this? Because your father suspected she might do something like this. He asked me to keep copies of everything, just in case. Why didn't you stop her? George's face darkened. I tried. When you were 12, I went to a lawyer. I had evidence that she was misusing the funds, and I wanted to petition for guardianship of the trust. What happened? Your mother found out. She told you I was trying to take you away from her, that I was jealous of your father's life insurance money and wanted to steal it from you. I remembered that conversation. Mom had sat me down and explained that Uncle George was a bad man who wanted to hurt our family. She'd made me promise never to talk to him if he tried to contact me. She turned you against me, George continued, and she threatened to disappear with you if I didn't back off. So, I did. You've been watching this whole time? From a distance. I kept hoping that when you turned 18, or 25, or 30, you'd figure out what she was doing and come looking for answers. I didn't even know the account existed until last week. That's what I was afraid of. He handed me another document. This is a letter your father wrote to you. He asked me to give it to you when you were old enough to understand. The letter was in Dad's handwriting, dated just a month before he died. My dear Laura, if you're reading this, it means something has happened to me and George has had to step in. I hope I'm wrong about your mother, but I'm writing this just in case. I love Nadine, but I've seen how she handles money, and it scares me. She thinks she deserves things that other people have worked for. She thinks being your mother entitles her to whatever she wants. The money I'm leaving is for you, for your education, your future, your dreams, not for her new clothes or her nights out, or her idea of what she deserves for raising you. If she's taken it, don't let her convince you that she had the right. She didn't. And don't let her make you feel guilty for wanting it back. You are strong, smarter than both of us, and you deserve better than to be manipulated by someone who should be protecting you. All my love. Dad. My hands were shaking when I finished reading. She's been stealing from me for 25 years. It gets worse. George pulled out a photograph. Do you recognize this woman? It was an older black woman, maybe in her 50s, standing in what looked like our old kitchen. That's Naomi. She was our housekeeper when I was little. She worked for your family for 3 years after your father died. She saw things, Laura. Things your mother thought no one would remember. What kind of things? Naomi watched your mother burn documents after your father's funeral. She saw her hide bank statements and lie to the insurance investigators. She even saw her throw away mail addressed to you, mail from the trust administrators. Where is Naomi now? Still in town, still willing to talk if you want to hear what she has to say. I stared at the papers spread across the table. 25 years of theft, documented in black and white. George, can I ask you something? Anything. Why now? Why are you coming forward now? Because I heard through the grapevine that she bought herself a fancy condo with a big cash payment. And because I know that the trust your grandparents set up wasn't just for you. What do you mean? Your father had a brother, Laura, me. The trust was supposed to provide for both of David's children and David's surviving family members if anything happened to him. You're saying she stole from you too? I'm saying that over the past 25 years, I should have received approximately $50,000 from that trust. Money that was supposed to help me through some rough patches. Money that could have kept me from losing my house in 2008. She took everything. Every penny. And she's been living like a queen while both of us struggled. I looked at my uncle. Really looked at him. His clothes were clean but worn. His shoes had been resoled. His watch was the kind you buy at a discount store. Meanwhile, Mom was drinking wine on her lakefront balcony. I'm going to get it back, I said. How? I'm buying her condo. George raised an eyebrow. Come again? I'm setting up a shell company, and I'm going to buy her condo out from under her. She's going to lose everything, just like she made us lose everything. That's ambitious. It's justice. George smiled for the first time since I'd sat down. Your father would be proud. Will you help me? Laura, I've been waiting 20 years for someone to ask me that question. 2 months later, I stood outside Mom's condo door with a suitcase in one hand and a manila envelope in the other. Inside the envelope was the deed to her unit, freshly transferred to my shell company, Firecracker Holdings, LLC. Dad would have appreciated the name. I knocked. Laura, what a surprise! Mom opened the door, wearing a silk blouse that probably cost more than most people's rent. I didn't know you were back in town. I need a place to stay for a while. Of course, honey. Come in. How long are you visiting? I walked past her into the living room and set my suitcase down. Actually, I'm moving back, permanently. That's wonderful. I knew you'd get tired of all that traveling. We can look for apartments together. There are some lovely places. I won't need to look for an apartment. She paused, wine glass halfway to her lips. What do you mean? I handed her the envelope. You should read this. Mom opened it and pulled out the papers. I watched her face change as she read. Confusion, then disbelief, then something that looked like panic. This is a joke. It's not. This says you own my condo. I do. She flipped through the pages frantically. This is impossible. I bought this place. I have the deed. You had the deed. The building went into financial distress. Your unit was subject to forced sale due to unpaid special assessments. I paid my assessments. You paid the regular maintenance fees. You didn't pay the special assessment for emergency repairs that the board voted on 6 weeks ago. What special assessment? I never received notice of any special assessment. I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo. You mean this notice? The one that was taped to your door? Connor said you ripped it down and threw it away without reading it. That was junk mail. It was a legal notice giving you 30 days to pay $18,000 in emergency assessments or face foreclosure proceedings. Mom sank onto her white leather couch. This can't be legal. It's completely legal. The building's management company put your unit up for auction to recover the unpaid fees. My company was the highest bidder. Your company? Firecracker Holdings. We specialize in distressed property acquisitions. She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. You did this on purpose. I did. You orchestrated this whole thing. I did. Why? I sat down across from her. Because you stole $500,000 from me, and I wanted it back. I didn't steal anything. I used that money to raise you. You used some of it to raise me. You used the rest to live beyond your means for 25 years. I sacrificed everything for you. You sacrificed nothing. You lived off my inheritance while telling me we were poor. You made me feel guilty for every dollar you spent on me when it was my own money. Mom stood up abruptly. I won't listen to this. You'll listen to all of it, because this is my condo now, and if you want to stay here, you'll hear what I have to say. You can't kick me out. I live here. Actually, I can. I'm the owner now, but I'm not kicking you out. I'm offering you a choice. She sat back down slowly. What choice? You can stay here as my tenant. Market rate rent, 1-year lease, standard terms. How much is market rate? $4,000 a month. Her face went white. I can't afford $4,000 a month. Then I guess you'll need to find somewhere you can afford. Laura, please, I'm your mother. You're the woman who stole my inheritance and lied to me about it for 25 years. I never lied to you. You told me we were struggling financially while you had access to over $500,000 of my money. That money was for your upbringing. The money that came in after I turned 25 wasn't for my upbringing. The money that came in after I graduated college and got a job wasn't for my upbringing. You stole it because you thought you deserved it. Mom started crying. I worked so hard. I gave up everything to raise you alone. You gave up nothing. You chose to be a single mother, and then you chose to steal from your own child to make that choice more comfortable. I never meant for it to go this far. How far did you mean for it to go? How much of my money did you think you deserved? She didn't answer. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You have 30 days to decide if you want to rent this place from me or find somewhere else to live. If you choose to rent, you'll sign a lease that includes a clause requiring you to pay back the money you stole at a rate of $1,000 per month. That's impossible. Then you should start packing. There was a knock at the door. Mom looked at me with hope, like maybe this was all a bad dream and someone was here to wake her up. That'll be Connor, I said. He's here to change the locks. You're changing the locks? I'm the owner. I can change whatever I want. Connor appeared in the doorway with his toolbox. Ms. Laura, ready to get started? Yes, thank you. Mom watched in horror as Connor began removing the lock from the front door. Laura, please, we can work this out. We're family. Family doesn't steal from each other. I never stole from you. Then where's my money? She opened her mouth to answer, then closed it again. That's what I thought, I said. As Connor installed the new lock, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Is this Laura? This is Rachel, George's daughter. I heard what you did to Nadine. We need to talk. There's more money missing, and I think some of it was mine. I showed the text to Mom. Her face went even paler. Who else did you steal from? Rachel showed up at the condo 3 days later with a briefcase full of documents and the same determined look I'd been seeing in the mirror lately. You must be Laura. She was tall, blonde, and looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. I'm your cousin. Come in. I led her to the living room where Mom was sitting with her morning coffee, pretending to read a magazine. Mom, you remember Rachel? Mom's coffee cup rattled against the saucer. Rachel? What a surprise. Cut the act, Aunt Nadine. Rachel opened her briefcase and pulled out a stack of papers. I know what you did. I don't know what you're talking about. My college fund, the one my grandfather set up before he died, the one that was supposed to pay for my education. I looked between them. What college fund? Rachel turned to me. Your dad's father, our grandfather, set up education funds for all his grandchildren before he died in 1994. You had one? I had one. They were managed through the same trust that was paying your living expenses. I never went to college, Rachel continued, looking directly at Mom. You know why? Because when I turned 18, I was told the fund was empty. Completely drained. Mom set down her coffee cup. Rachel, I think there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. I hired a forensic accountant last week. Guess whose name shows up on withdrawal authorizations for my education fund? You had access to Rachel's college fund too? I asked Mom. I was the trustee for both accounts after your father died, Mom said quietly. It was a lot of responsibility. Responsibility you used to steal from a 17-year-old girl, Rachel snapped. Do you know what it's like to watch your friends go to college while you're told there's no money for your education? Do you know what it's like to work 3 jobs just to afford community college classes? Rachel, I'm sure we can work something out. We're past working things out. Rachel pulled out another document. This is a lawsuit. I'm suing you for the full amount of my college fund, plus interest, plus damages for the career opportunities I lost because I couldn't get a proper education. How much? I asked. $87,000, plus 20 years of compound interest. Mom stood up abruptly. I need some air. Sit down, I said. We're not finished. I don't have to listen to this. Actually, you do. This is my condo now, remember? And Rachel is my guest. Mom sat back down, her hands shaking. Rachel continued. But the college fund isn't the only thing. Dad kept records, too, just like he told Laura. There were other accounts, other funds that you had access to as the family trustee. What other accounts? Emergency funds for family members in crisis, medical expense accounts, even a fund for maintaining the family cemetery plot. You stole from a cemetery fund? I stared at Mom in disbelief. I didn't steal anything. I managed those accounts responsibly. By emptying them into your personal checking account? Rachel pulled out bank statements. Here's a transfer of $12,000 from the Medical Emergency Fund in 2003. What medical emergency did you have that year? Mom didn't answer. I'll tell you what happened in 2003. You bought a new car, a brand new Honda that you told everyone you'd saved up for. I needed reliable transportation. You needed to stop stealing from your dead husband's family. The room went silent. Mom looked like she was going to be sick. There's more, Rachel said. I've been in touch with other family members. Turns out a lot of people have been wondering where various funds and inheritances went over the years. How many people? I asked. 6 so far. Maybe more once word gets out. My phone rang. It was Annalise. Laura, you need to see the news. Turn on Channel 7. I grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. A reporter was standing outside Lakefront Towers. Anonymous tip led to an investigation into what authorities are calling a decades-long embezzlement scheme involving family trust funds. The alleged perpetrator, identified as Nadine Marshall, is accused of systematically draining accounts meant for education, medical expenses, and family support. Mom's face went white. How did they find out? Rachel and I looked at each other. Someone called in a tip, Rachel said. Someone who was tired of watching you live in luxury while your victim struggled. This will ruin me. You ruined yourself, I said. We just made sure everyone knew about it. The news report continued. Marshall allegedly used the stolen funds to purchase luxury real estate and maintain an expensive lifestyle, while family members were told the accounts were empty or had been depleted for legitimate expenses. Mom turned off the TV. I need to call my lawyer. You should probably call several lawyers, Rachel said, because this isn't just a civil matter anymore. Embezzling from trust funds is a felony. I never embezzled anything. Then explain this. Rachel handed her another document. This is a withdrawal authorization with your signature, transferring $15,000 from the family medical fund to your personal account. The memo line says, emergency surgery expenses. What surgery did you have in 2007? Mom stared at the paper. I don't remember. You don't remember having surgery? It was a long time ago. You didn't have surgery. You bought furniture. I have the receipts. Mom stood up again. I'm leaving. Where are you going to go? I asked. Your credit cards are probably frozen by now. Your bank accounts are under investigation, and everyone in town knows what you did. I'll figure something out. Will you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're about to find out what it feels like to have nothing, just like you made all of us feel. Mom walked toward the door, then turned back. I hope you're happy. I'm not happy, I said. I'm just done being your victim. She left without another word. Rachel and I sat in silence for a few minutes, watching the news coverage continue. Do you think we went too far? Rachel asked. Do you think she would have stopped if we hadn't? No. Then we didn't go far enough. My phone buzzed with a text from George. Turn on channel 12. They're interviewing Naomi. I switched channels. There was Naomi, the old housekeeper, sitting across from a reporter. I saw her burning papers after the funeral, Naomi was saying. Important-looking documents. And I saw her hiding mail that came for Laura. I always wondered what happened to that poor child's inheritance. Rachel smiled grimly. Looks like the whole story's coming out now. Good, I said. It's about time. The safety deposit box key arrived in my mail 3 weeks after Mom disappeared from public view. No return address, just a small envelope with my name written in her familiar handwriting. Inside was the key and a note. You still don't know everything. I stared at the key, then called George. She left me a safety deposit box key. Where? First National, downtown branch, box 847. Want company? Yeah, I think I do. We met at the bank that afternoon. The box was small, but it felt heavy when the clerk handed it to me. Inside the private viewing room, I opened it with shaking hands. There were more documents, old insurance papers, a few pieces of jewelry I recognized from childhood, and a small digital recorder with a note taped to it. For Laura, recorded March 1995. I pressed play. Dad's voice filled the room, and I had to grip the table to keep steady. Oh, Laura, if you're hearing this, it means I'm gone, and your mother has finally been caught. I'm recording this because I know what she's capable of, and I need you to understand that I tried to protect you. George reached over and squeezed my hand. Dad's voice continued. I found out about the first withdrawals from your trust fund just before the accident. Small amounts at first, a few hundred here and there. When I confronted Nadine, she said it was for emergencies, that she'd pay it back. But I knew she wouldn't. There was a pause. Then, I set up this safety deposit box and put George's name on it too, as a backup. Inside, you'll find account information for a separate fund I established without your mother's knowledge. It's not much, but it's something she can never touch." My heart stopped. "George, did you know about this?" "No, he never told me." Dad's voice came back. "The account is at Merchants Bank, under the name David Marshall Trust, secondary. The account number is written on the paper in this box. Laura, this money is yours. Use it wisely, and remember, you don't owe anyone anything for the love you deserve to receive freely." I found the paper with the account information and called the bank immediately. "Yes, we have that account," the representative confirmed. "It's been accruing interest for 28 years. The current balance is, let me see, $237,000. I hung up and looked at George. Dad left me another account. Mom never knew about it. How much? Enough. That evening, I called Annalise from the condo. "I want to set up a foundation," I told her, "for kids who've had their education funds stolen or mismanaged by family members." "That's a beautiful idea. How much are you thinking of funding it with?" "All of it. The money from Dad's secret account, plus whatever we recover from the lawsuit settlements." "Laura, that could be close to $500,000. Good. Maybe it'll help some other kid avoid what Rachel went through." "What about your mother's legal situation?" "What about it?" "The district attorney called. They're offering her a plea deal, 5 years probation, full restitution, and community service." "She should take it." "Will you testify if she doesn't?" "Absolutely." The next morning, Rachel called. "She took the plea deal," she said. 5 years probation, and she has to pay back everything with interest." "How much is everything?" "Just over $800,000. "She doesn't have $800,000. "No, but she has the rest of her life to pay it back. The court garnished her Social Security and any future income. She'll be paying us back until the day she dies." "Where is she now?" "Living with her sister in Ohio, working at a grocery store, from what I heard." I walked out onto the balcony of the condo, my condo now, and looked out at the lake. The view was beautiful, but it felt empty. "Rachel, I'm selling this place." "Why?" "Because I don't want anything she touched with stolen money. I'm going to sell it and put the proceeds into the foundation." "That's a lot of money to give away." "It was never really mine to begin with." That afternoon, I drove to the cemetery where Dad was buried. I hadn't been there since the funeral, but I found his headstone easily. Someone had been maintaining it, probably George. I sat down in the grass next to the marker. "I found your message," I said out loud, "and I found the money. Thank you for trying to protect me." The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment I could almost hear his voice again. "I'm going to use it to help other kids like Rachel, who got cheated out of their futures. I think you'd like that." I pulled out my phone and called the real estate agent. "I want to list the Lakefront Towers condo," I said, "and I want to donate the proceeds to charity." "Are you sure? That's a valuable property." "I'm sure. Some things are worth more than money." As I walked back to my car, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Naomi. I saw the news about the foundation. I have some documents your father gave me before he died. Things he asked me to keep safe. Would you like to see them?" I smiled and typed back, "Yes, I'd like to see everything." The truth, once unearthed, can ruin or redeem, but it can never be buried again. Mom had spent 25 years burying the truth about what she'd stolen from us. Now It was my turn to decide what to do with it. She'd said I owed her everything. I'd only taken back what was mine. The rest? That debt had been paid in full.